Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how language can be affected by many barriers. Two of which the barriers we're going to talk about is polarization and sexism, most of which have to do with communication. Communication is very important to everyone because it plays a virtual role in a human life. Here is some insight to polarization and sexism. Polarization means to cause something to have positive and negative charges. Polarization has many meanings. One of the meanings we use most often is in terms of magnets, like the North and the South Pole. One of the meanings that is not very well known is the communication process. An example of this would be Joy told Susan that she enjoyed going on walks for exercise while Susan prefers to go to the gym. Another example would be Joy asked Susan, "What do you think of going for a walk for our exercise routine for today?" Susan replies, "I don't like going for a walk as an exercise. I do not feel it is effective enough to be considered a workout." These are small examples of polarization in communication. Because they are two different forms of activity, and when spoken, the verbal polarization takes place.
Polarization happens when people become divided into contrasting groups or sets of opinions and beliefs. Polarization is basically a concept that comes from science. It involves light radiation or magnetism moving in specific directions. Outside of science, polarization usually refers to how people think, especially when two views emerge that drive people apart, kind of like two opposing magnets. When Democrats and Republicans fight, it can cause polarization. It's also basically involving at least two people moving in two different directions. An example is the polarization of society between rich and poor.
Sexism. Sexist language is language that excludes either men or women when discussing a topic that is applicable to both sexes. This includes using the word man to refer to humanity and using titles like congressman and fireman to describe them. Another common error that shows gender bias is assuming that the subject of all sentences is male. The content of gender stereotypes, according to which women should display communal and warmth traits, and when men should display agentic and competence traits, is reflected in the lexical choices of everyday communication. Sexism is a political issue today. It affects the language we choose to use. Many people speaking or writing English today wish to avoid using language which supports unfair or untrue attributes to a particular sex, usually women.
Sexism is very common in today's society. Blatant uses of sexism in language would be the use of the phrase, "you run like a girl," "you throw like a girl." Those are derogatory and can cause harm to people, and sometimes it's on purpose. More subtle ways that sexism is found in language is the use of words businessman or chairman or fisherman. Those are just words that we can say commonly and not always realize that they can be harmful. They can cause people to feel trapped by the stereotype of their gender, and we really need to be careful of how we talk. If we watch our words, then we can make everyone feel equal. In conclusion, communication is very vital to our everyday lives. We use it every day to talk to each other. That being said, there are many barriers that we must overcome in order to communicate properly. Polarization and sexism are just two of those, and if we are able to overcome those barriers, then we are that much closer to being able to communicate with ease. Thank you.